Hello again. We've got some more breaking news for you, this time involving Arsenal's left-back Alexander Zinchenko. Now, he's completed a medical before a permanent move to Ajax. The Ukraine international flew to Amsterdam today and he's agreed terms on a 6-month contract with Ajax. He'll discuss his long-term future in the summer. So just to confirm, Alexander
is flying into the UK this evening ahead of his Bournemouth medical, which will take place tomorrow morning. Now, the agreed fee is £24.7 million, with a potential £5.6 million in add-ons, with no percentage of any future sale. Ryan has agreed personal terms, will sign a 5.5-year contract. Has been dubbed by many as the replacement.
Last few days, Spurs have said don't want to sell him. Could you see any way that Spurs would change their mind on that?
For January?
Yeah.
I can't see it for January. I mean, especially when you go in, I think he's a player that can probably command a very high fee and have a good few clubs interested in. But the actual scene is they've now missed out on Mark Guehi. So I think he's a player that a lot of teams would like. I think he complements other centre-halves as well, especially with his pace and the fact that he can break lines carrying the ball into midfield. We've seen him score a couple of outstanding goals. But, yeah, I think he's a great addition to many teams, but don't see it this month.
Arsenal on loan is very, very close. Just in the last few seconds, I've been told that the players' representatives and his lawyers are also now involved in the talks, and that would suggest that a deal is really close. Of course, the background is Sterling was told 2 weeks ago, interested in moving to Saudi Arabia. He wanted to stay in the Premier League, and Arsenal have come to try and get him. And he said, look, I would prefer a permanent move, but this is Arsenal. This is working with Mikel Arteta. This is going, with all due respect to Chelsea, to a club who are challenging for the title, who are in the Champions League. And remember, he didn't want to leave. And my information now is that the deal is very close because his representatives and his lawyers are now negotiating his move away from Chelsea to Arsenal.
Now, another story regarding Arsenal. According to a couple of the papers, Arsenal are exploring a possible summer move for the Atletico Madrid striker Julián Álvarez for a potential fee of around £87 million. Now, it's just a couple of rumours in a couple of papers, but this would be massive if it happened. Andy, do you honestly think it could happen?
I have a feeling Atletico might cash out. They're at least going to consider it, I think, because there's been a little bit of an uneasy relationship between Alvarez's entourage and the club for a while. There are people around him who think that he shouldn't have signed for Atletico because maybe they're not quite an elite club. They're maybe an A- club with pretensions to being an elite club, despite the stadiums, despite the Champions League finals, despite a couple of La Liga titles interspersed with what Real Madrid and Barcelona are doing. But of course, they're not quite on the same level as Real Madrid and Barcelona. I tell you what, he's played so much football recently, which kind of, in the last couple of years recently, that's what prompted City to sell him in the first place. And now, I think they're looking at him. They were looking at building that team around him once Griezmann's gone. Now, Griezmann's still there, but will probably go in the summer. But they're looking at it and they're thinking, you know what, we're not getting that consistency out of him. And maybe that's just a knock-on, like Lautaro Martinez, from playing so much football. But maybe they're thinking, just like City thought, maybe we make it someone else's problem. Because if his entourage aren't completely bought in, and, you know, they're not getting a tune out of him on a consistent basis, they have to at least think about it.
29, he's agreed a new contract, the World Cup winner. Of course, he joined in September 2020, a firm favourite at the club. He swapped his #1 shirt. People were worried about that. It was purely superstition that led him to doing that, and he is staying at the club, signing a new deal. More on this later this hour.
This evening ahead of this decisive Champions League game. News, though, but perhaps we've been expecting, but it's now been confirmed by Chelsea company today by mutual agreement. This is the statement that's just been issued by Chelsea Football Club by mutual agreement, bringing to an end his 3.5 seasons as our player, and it continues. Having signed in the summer of 2022, and of course he was the first blue chip flagship signing of the new owners. It cost just under 50 million, about 47.5 million, I think, from memory. Having signed, it says, the statement, in the summer of 2022, we thank Fusion and we wish him well in the next step of his career.
Huge breaking news. We spoke about this being the deadline day of all deadline days for Liverpool. They've had the most fabulous window. Before today, over £300 million had been spent by the football club. They got Alexander Isak in a deal worth 125. It's got even better for Liverpool fans because guess what? You've got a new centre-back. Deal agreed with Crystal Palace. It's worth £35 million. He's now been given permission to undergo his medical in London. But this, Bella, is a huge deal for Arne Slot, an incredible side that have started the season fantastically well. Suddenly, it's got even better. The targets were a striker and a centre-back. Arne Slot has got his wishes. 2 brand new players.